Nigeria's Super Eagles last night recorded a heartwarming 3-2 victory over the Carthage Eagles of Tunisia to book their place in the round of 16 at the ongoing 35th Africa Cup of Nations in Morocco. Having earlier failed to qualify for next year's World Cup in North America and Mexico, what could the team's progress in Morocco signify for Nigerian sports? For a quick chat around that and a review of sports development in Nigeria in 2025, we're now being joined by Bukola Olopade, who's the Director General of the National Sports Commission. Good morning, Mr. DG.
Good morning.
Compliments of the season.
Same to you.
Good to have you
Good
join
morning,
us.
viewers.
Good morning.
Always a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
All right, we'll review the year, but then, of course, let's start with the heartwarming news. I was thinking that you would be somewhere in Morocco, but judging from your voice, I don't know if you just flew back. But what are your thoughts so far, given the fact that a lot of people think that this is the only thing that can compensate for the fact that we won't be going to the World Cup yet again? I think it will be the third time in a row.
The second time.
Is it the second?
Yeah. The third time in a row may be Italy.
Italians are also crying. That is the
Yes.
second time. Do you think that we have started well, 2 consecutive victories? And then the coach, this is a gentleman who, on account of the fact that we couldn't go to the World Cup, was blaming a juju man. What are your thoughts? Do you have hopes that we'll go far and that Eric Schell will lead us to the promised land?
2 years ago, I actually
You
sat
were on this,
with the two of you.
yes, on this same
When
program.
I was in DG,
Yes,
I was a
when you
private
were in.
person, and I did predict
made a
then.
prediction.
I made a prediction that
We'll get to the final.
I said we're going to get to the final. We did.
But you said we will win. We didn't.
I did say we were going to win.
You remember he was with us.
Yes, I did say we were going to win. African football has really moved on beyond you being able to comfortably say that because you are the Super Eagles or the Lions of Cameroon or the Pharaohs of Egypt, you are going to beat every nation and win the trophy. So this is not the time to start predicting if the Super Eagles will win the trophy. That doesn't mean one doesn't have confidence in the present crop of players that we have and even the coaching crew. I believe strongly that Eric Chile, to the best of his ability, has done very well for the country. I just had an argument with Tony Bitoye before coming on, where I said, how do you judge if someone has done well? It's through performance indicators. The performance indicators will show that Eric Chile has lost only one match, a friendly match against Egypt. And to that end, I feel he should be given his ropes.
They couldn't take us to the World Cup.
When Eric Chile was hired, Eric Chile was actually hired by a collaborative effort between the NSC and the NFF.
Okay.
When he was hired, Nigeria was 3 points and second to the last on the table before Shehu Diko and I were appointed.
Yeah.
Eric Chile took us to the playoff, something that you and I knew was least expected. He has done his job so far. Yes, we didn't make it to the World Cup. Who knows? The Nations Cup, yeah. But I'm always very disappointed when we ignore the huge successes achieved so far this year in football. We must always give credit to our women.
Mostly from the girls, mostly from the
But
girls.
that is also a Nigerian team.
Absolutely.
The most successful national team in Africa in any sport. So don't let us dwell too much on the failure of not going to the World Cup. Let's project towards a future that will bring our football and our sports to the top level that we expect it to be.
But for me, I mean, I'm not a sports girl. I don't watch sports. I always confess ahead of time. How do you even justify the contradiction as AFCON is progressing? I mean, our players are progressing. We won last night, and we failed I had to repeat that for you to hear. And we failed to qualify for the World Cup. How do you justify the contradiction? I don't understand it.
Tournament football is actually different from qualifying football. For tournament football, the team come together, they gel, they spend time, they bond, and that reflects on the field of play. For qualification football, They come in 2-3 days. The dynamics are very different. Putting the team together, gelling them together. That is not an excuse as to why we did not qualify. We didn't qualify because we did not play well in some of the matches that should have qualified us. But Nigeria is a tournament playing country across board in literally every football competition that we attend. When we're in the tournament mood, we always excel. And so winning yesterday for me was a surprise. When people were skeptical about the Tunisian match, I did say to my wife yesterday morning, I said, it is whenever we are called the underdogs that these boys come out to excel. That I was very sure we were going to beat Tunisia, and we did. Albeit towards the end, it was heart-pumping performance for the team, but we still went through it. And you must also remember that for tournament football, it is not quality of finis that you bring to the table. It's the 3 points that you require to
it's
get
victory
to
that is needed. Do you think that the coach, who's not a Nigerian, by the way, unlike the girls that are doing quite well with Nigerian coaches, do you think that there should be incentive for him to retain his job if we do not win the AFCON this year?
Well, the contract is signed. I'm sure must have a clause for him to get to a certain level at the Nations Cup. If he gets to that level of the Nations Cup, I believe strongly that if he wants to stay, that should be the man to take us towards the next qualifying series of both the World Cup and other AFCON tournaments.
So successes, ideally, I would like us to jump into developmental, analysis now. Successes, yes, football, particularly from the women. Basketball, again, from the women. You are the DG of Sports Commission, so it's not just football, it's sports development in general. How do you see year 2025? Because that's important before we go into the new year. Was it good? A lot of people will say that, yes, this administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu believes in sports, releases practically everything that is asked for in terms of money, for sport development. But people are still saying that we're still not quite there yet in terms of infrastructure, in terms of developing other sports, which is where you come in. How will you assess 2025?
I believe the first gratitude that we must give as a nation in the area of sports is to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu Jisefra for his strong political decision to scrap the Ministry of Sports and bring in the Sports Commission. Because for the first thing he created was a corporate image and corporate approach and corporate governance to sports. And to that extent, I have always said, when we look at the performance of the National Sports Commission in the last 1 year, I'm extremely very proud of what Madam Sheudiko and I have done alongside our team.
Yeah.
Think about it. What was our mandate? Create a sports economy that works for all. Put money in the pocket of indigents, put money in the pocket of media, put money in the pocket of practitioners.
Yeah.
We've been able to achieve all of that. A few days ago, Chichi Nwoku and top-tier management brought in an investment of 40 billion into the female football league, something that has never happened, and into the Nigerian National League, something that has never happened. The last time the Nigerian National League had access to that kind of money was when I was the CEO of the Nigerian National League, and we had a deal that funded the league. And after that, funding for the league disappeared. So our mandate was to create that sort of system. We have been able to bring in directly or indirectly over 50 billion into sports this year. And I've always said that I challenge anybody to discuss the numbers with me privately, and I'll show you the trajectory that led to us being able to say that we've been able to do that. But I think the biggest achievement has been our ability to upgrade the so-called lesser sports.
Yes.
As a private person, I'd always said that there's nothing like lesser sports. Sport is a very strong tool of empowerment. And when you use it across board, not all of us can play football. But if you have a talent in Scrabble, for example, that can become wealthy from playing Scrabble, why not encourage that rare talent to become a breadwinner in their family? You see the way I'm using it. Creating wealth through a gift that God has been endowed
I
you.
will even use swimming as an example.
And that is
the Lajes, the Niger Delta. So much water around.
And
People
so-
going under the water for sometimes for hours, and we can't participate in swimming competitions globally at the
Steve, it simply
Olympics.
means you've not been following the huge progress we've started making in swimming.
Tell us about it.
So for the first time in the history of this country, we won a junior medal through Jabba
yes,
at the
yes,
World
yes.
Championship.
That's true.
Never happened. Aiden just came back from Angola, where he won 3 medals at the Youth African Championship. Never happened.
What about tennis?
Tennis. Look at what we are doing with tennis. Look at the young boys and girls who are winning medals for us at the Africa. Right now, the best under 15 tennis player is a Nigerian, because of the grassroots effort that the NSC, in collaboration with the federations, are putting in place.
15, is it
Female player.
Where?
In Nigeria, right now.
What do you mean is a Nigerian?
She's a Nigerian, the best under 15 tennis player today, according to ranking, is a Nigerian. This
Under
has not-
15 globally.
in Africa.
I'm like, where? What are
No,
you
in
talking
Africa.
about?
I said Africa.
Okay.
Of course, we must start, our progress from
Continentally.
local to the subcontinent, then globally. But look at what we've been able to do with all sports. Today, we are the world champions in Scrabble. We defeated the Americans in Ghana recently. Today, we are one of the best 12 in chess. These are sports. I'm sure you're shocked that are these sports. Of course, they are sports. They are global sports.
No, I
they
know
have
chess.
They have their Olympiad.
Of course, I know chess is a sport.
Thank you.
Why would you say I'm shocked?
No, because you did tell me that you're not a sports person.
Well, that's just common knowledge.
Okay, fair enough. But, Steve, to answer your question, the last 1 year has been very productive for lesser sports. Cricket. Our girls went to the Under-19 World Cup for the first time, qualified automatically for the next World Cup because we came 5th in the world. And I'm excited because in many years, we see real under-17, under-15 looking children representing our country.
Yeah, absolutely. I know what people like. What's his name for cricket that they do?
Uyi Akpata.
Fantastic,
amazing
stuff.
president.
Absolutely.
Which takes me to the issue of the federations. What we did at the NSC was to galvanize interest from people, from the private sector, and people who are knowledgeable, are intentional about joining us in the development of sports in this country. And so, who are the people we have today as presidents and stakeholders in federations? Victor Uche in tennis. Come on now. In boxing, the Minister of Finance is the president. I can go in swimming, it's Chamberlain. These are men and women. Tayo Pubola in taekwondo, a woman who has spent a lifetime, your friend, a lifetime dedicating everything she has into taekwondo. And you can see the results manifesting here and there.
Fantastic.
I believe the NSC, if I have to score the NSC, we've done very well. Infrastructurally, you're right.
Yeah.
We our aggressive
that's where attention
approach
is
next
needed,
year.
isn't it?
Well,
Yes, our aggressive approach next year will be on infrastructure.
No, I don't want to. No, not really. I was just saying you've spoken at length about your achievements.
I'm very proud of it too.
Yes, very, very proud of it. Of course, something to be proud of. What has been your biggest disappointment this year, or even failures?
Not going to the World Cup, obviously, was a huge disappointment. And I believe failure is routine in life. The ability to recalibrate and get it right is what makes you. So I don't dwell on failure. So obviously not qualifying for the World Cup. Again, an aspect that I feel needs work is the ability for us to convince Nigerians, myself and Malam Udiko, that the president has entrusted us with this position and we are real. And people should stop looking at sports from that prison of not trusting those in sports. We are intentional. We've been able to convince the private sector. This is why you see the extraction. Take your partners, for example, Premium Trust Bank. Look at the kind of investment they've put into sports because they trust us. You look at so many aspects of sponsorship today. there's been a huge increase in sponsorship in sports in the last 1 year. And that is because the private sector can trust Malam Shedika and myself and can trust President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to say that in these two gentlemen, we have our sports well taken care of.
How much was budgeted for 2025 for the Sports Commission this year?
Suffice to say that we were well taken care of in terms of budgetary allocation. But I want to emphasize more on the fact that beyond what government has done, which is huge for sports development this year, we have been able to also to get the private sector to believe in the ability of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
So you don't know the budget?
Why would I know the budget?
What was budget for the sports development
I'm
this
the
year?
chief accounting officer of the National Sports Commission.
So how was
I know the budget, but I'm not going to dwell on numbers that we need to start discussing when we're going into a new budgetary year.
No, and the reason I ask is because, I mean, I want to know.
Outgoing budget you
No, I
meant,
want
or the
to
one
know,
coming
yes, for
budget?
this year's sports, we're doing a recap of
Yes,
the year
absolutely, you're right,
2025.
yeah.
So I wanted to know if it's something that you want to look into for next year.
We are.
Would you like it to be increased? I'm just asking these questions for.
And it's also a good question.
I mean,
let me tell you what the good
Right.
news is. The good news is that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has taken us as his number one children. Sports. He does not joke. And Steve mentioned it.
are athletes still complaining about unpaid salaries? Are they still complaining allowances and stuff? Are
I'm
they
sure.
still complaining?
I'm sure if that was a thing, the first station in the world that will talk about it would be Arise TV, and Rufai would have been hammering on it.
I heard 3 months ago. But go ahead.
Which one?
The
Which
one.
one? But for you not to be making that an issue simply tells you that the podium board system that we've created, the athlete grant system that we've created is working. And let me just say to you that every athlete that we've paid in preparation for the 2028 Olympics, and we're going to pay 2028 Olympics in preparation. The Commonwealth Games next year, and we're going to pay more in January. Every money we've paid came from the private sector. So we've moved away from that negative narrative of saying athletes are not paid. Athletes just came back from Angola, under 15 athletes.
Yeah, but if their payments are delayed, that's an issue.
It will be an issue. But all their money are in their accounts. I read about the coach. There was a time the coach was paid even ahead
of the tournament.
Ahead of the tournament. Even now, all his money has been paid. Nobody talks about those positives. You saw Malam Shedika led a team to go and present for the first time promises made by a president of houses and lands to the Super Eagles. That was a good one. Those are the things we must dwell on.
Yes.
We cannot continue to talk about the narratives of the past. There's been a huge growth in road running, for example, highly sponsored across board.
Yes.
There's been a huge growth in chess, in Scrabble, well sponsored, well funded. For me, I believe we are empowering thousands of people, children especially, using sports. All the international events hosted this year by Nigeria, and we hosted almost 13, created wealth for indigent people. In Abeokuta, for example, from the National Sports Festival to the CAA Athletics Championship to the special sport that was just done, thousands of people went there to sell their wares and made money. This is what sports is about, creating wealth across board, and we keep doing that. This year alone, we sent out 54 national teams to represent Nigeria across more than 40 sports. 54. We were successful in almost 50. If people are not blowing our trumpets,
that's massive.
I'm blowing our trumpet.
Well,
They will say that's
I
massive.
mean, if you have all of these achievements, good job on that. And regarding the budget, would you like it increased? What was it like this year? What would you like it to be next year?
I'm sure it will be increased. But more importantly, I'm sure the private sector will increase their funding.
You're hamping on the private sector.
Because sport is huge business. There must be a quid pro quo relationship between the NSC, between sports across board and the private sector. And we are seeing that traction. I'm just saying we need more. And what better platform to say that to the private sector than this?
Well, on that note, we'd like to thank you very much
Thank
for
you very
joining
much.
us
It's a
on the
pleasure.
morning show.
And we're going to invite you to more sporting events. You must imbibe sports,
I will
just
not
as you imbibe
attend.
entertainment.
I will not attend.
Trust
Don't
me.
bother. I'm just kidding. Both
She's a
my
good
children,
swimmer, by the way.
my children play sports, so I do attend. That's enough for me. I attend her tennis lessons and my
Fantastic.
son's basketball lessons. That's
Yes.
enough for me.
Great stuff.
Well, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much
Thank you,
indeed
DG.
for joining
Thanks
us
for
on the
Thank you
morning
very
show.
much.